Okay, folks, the Federal Reserve announced they're going to reduce their QT. What does this mean for the next few months? Is this bullish or bearish? Or does the market go for one more dip in Bitcoin and stocks and then bounce? Or is this bounce the start of the rally, right? So the Federal Reserve did exactly what Pablo was predicting, which is on the path to end QT, right? Something like by May, right? But so by April 1st, they're going to reduce $25 billion of quantitative tightening or selling of US Treasury bonds down to just $5 billion, very close to zero now. But keep in mind, they still sell $35 billion a month of mortgage, MBS debt. So they've reduced the overall QT from what used to be something like $95 billion per month to now only $40 billion per month. And I believe we will get there very soon. And remember, everyone is asking, when does Ethereum go home? When does stock market bounces, right? Have a look at the SP 500 ETF, Spider at 550, going for a bounce. Just like Pablo was telling you guys over the last 6 videos. So ETH goes home. I'll show you guys on the chart. This is a full wrap up of what the Federal Reserve's decisions mean for the next few months and why they're not cutting interest rates at all. So the Federal Reserve basically doing QT right now means when they end QT is the bottom of ETH versus Bitcoin. I'll say that again. The bottom of ETH versus Bitcoin happened last cycle when the Fed ended QT. Keep that in mind. So when is that coming? And before we get to answering that, let's first spend 30 seconds just to answer the question of which crypto exchange does Pablo Jimenez use? Well, Pablo uses this non-KYC exchange, which means they do not ask you for any ID. And that means, of course, Americans can use it. And that means, of course, the IRS can't see that it's you. The tax office can't see that it's you. FBI, CIA, nobody can see that it is you, right? Over $8,000 worth of newbie prizes just for joining and starting to trade. Pablo has made a deal with them. So basically, this is the Pablo Jimenez deal. Already over 1.3 million users, right, uses this platform. So that makes Bitunix the largest non-KYC platform in the world, right? If you guys are watching this on YouTube, then the Pablo link is in the description below. The link is in the description below. But if you're watching on any other platform, such as this one, right, then basically just go to my profile page and it's the first link right there on my stand link. We click on that and it's the first link that pops up, right? Okay, so Bitunix right there. But keep in mind, folks, but only on the Pablo link for the $8,000 worth of newbie benefits and prizes, only on the Pablo link. Okay, let's get back to Bitcoin itself. First, we understand that, as Pablo has been saying, it's not about Bitcoin. It's actually about the stock market, whether you like to believe that or not. Basically, I've been saying for as soon as Bitcoin broke down the 92K support, I said, look, it's probably headed to the low 70s, something like 73K. So far, we hit 76K. And the thing is that Bitcoin is basically front running what's happening in the stock market. What's happening in the stock market, whether you like it or not, right? The Wall Street, the big money on Wall Street, which is like 20, 30x larger than Bitcoin, thinks that Bitcoin is basically a leveraged tech stock. So when the SP 500 goes down 10%, then Bitcoin goes down 30%, like it has done right now. And in fact, the Magnificent Seven stocks, right, like Tesla, Google, Amazon, Facebook, Meta, those stocks, Nvidia, have gone down 20%, hitting what they call a bear market, right? And Pablo has been warning about that as well. So basically, Bitcoin goes down 30%. So that's what they mean by a levered tech stock, because when the SP 500 or the Magnificent 7 goes down 10, 20%, Bitcoin goes down 30, 35%. That's how it works. So I don't think I need to explain all of that anymore. Let's have a look at where stocks are going and where Bitcoin should be going due to this reaction to what the Fed has just announced. So what the Fed has just announced is basically, have a look at this. They basically adjusted their expectations. So this is risks to GDP. Weight to the downside, right? The dots, these blue dots are basically what their projections were in December. Now in March, these are the number of guys who are voting for this. There's like 20 folks who are board members of the Federal Reserve, and they vote on this. And some are voting members, some are not voting members, but it doesn't matter. So you can see a major shift, right, there of the members now concerned compared to December, just 3 months ago, when Trump was elected, that there's weight to the risks to downside. So they're worried about the GDP growth to the downside. And look at this. Now there's a major increase in folks who are worried of PCE inflation, right? Personal consumption expenditure inflation to the upside. So what does that mean? That means basically the Fed, in their latest report, is telling us they're worried for stagflation. They're worried growth is going to come down. GDP, they said something like from 2.4% to 1.7%. That's their yearly projection. And unemployment to go up from 4.1 to 4.2%. Right? Of course, they don't want to alarm the markets and tell them what they really think, which is unemployment is going to go up a bit higher than that. That would be a recession if they said it's like 4.3% or something. That would trigger the sums rule. And they're saying that that inflation is going to go up as well. So that puts us in stagflation. But anyways, the point is, it doesn't matter what they say. What they have done is they've started to reduce this quantitative tightening. If you've been watching my last 2 or 3 episodes, you know what that is all about. That's when they end QT, I predict in the next few weeks, and I've been predicting this for the last 7 weeks, is when ETH goes home, when Ethereum bottoms against Bitcoin. Okay, so let's look at the charts right now. Where are we right now? And basically, Ethereum. First, let's look at this SP 500 chart. Okay, so SP 500. I've been saying this 550 area is very important for a bounce, right? I said it can go lower, but we're going to get a bounce at least at this 550 area. Most people would not have drawn this 550 area on the chart, and it's obvious why, because look at this. So 550 basically means this. Most people are looking at the past tops and the past bottoms. So most people are looking at, like myself. Here's the past top. Here's the COVID top, right? Those are the important levels to watch. And we have the retraces, Fibonacci retraces, like these ones, right? Like even that one's at 530. Very few people actually draw these parallel channels. So have a look at this. I'm using the previous top, bottom, top, bottom, pivot top, pivot bottom to draw out this parallel rising channel. And people say like, well, that's just an art project. That's just your imagination. Well, look at this. It's also basically held up. Let me just put it onto the daily chart. Held up for another 4 tests. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there must be something there. Like you can, I know it's not part of any Fibonacci retrace. I know it's not part of any top or bottom, levels, pivot tops or pivot bottoms, but it's right there, 550, right? So I said, we're at least going to get a bounce there. It's held up for the last 5 days already. And because of this rising parallel channel. And the way we know it's working is because we can see that after the channel ended, after, Spider ETF accelerated up, it still provided the bottom for 3 bounces. And now the 4th bounce, right? So what happens from here? What happens from here is basically we could get this as an exit liquidity bounce, which means we could get a double top or slightly lower top, and that's the end of the bull market and everything goes down. That's one option. Or another option is basically we could get a blow off top. Blow off top is, obviously from the name, you can guess it. Basically, SP 500 beats its previous all-time high and keeps going. So does Bitcoin. And if, as I said, if the SP 500 beats its previous all-time high by like 10%, and Bitcoin beats it by like 30-40%, because Bitcoin's more levered, is seen as more levered tech stock. You may not agree, but that's how Wall Street sees it, and they have 30x more money, than Bitcoin by market cap. So let's have a look at Bitcoin itself. Here we are. Bitcoin itself is okay. Before I show you guys that, let's have a look at ETH, Bitcoin, just to emphasize again, because a lot of folks are holding altcoins. So was at the bottom. It may or may not be the bottom. We could easily get a dip to this 0.020 area, and that'd be the final bottom. And then here we go, because we're waiting for the end of QT. We haven't gotten that yet. Last time, as I told you guys, the end of QT came on exactly this date, right? The first week of September 2019, and that was the end of the bottom of ETH versus Bitcoin chart, and then it was a big run, and of course that was a big run for altcoins. Now, now the thing is that this happened exactly in the same week as the Federal Reserve ended quantitative tightening, ended the QT. Was that a big coincidence? I don't think so at all. Now that's why I've made my last 2 or 3 videos all about this, and I predicted Fed is going to end QT. They've now gone from 95 billion down to 60 billion, down to 4 billion, and they're going to get to something like 0 pretty soon. And when they do, okay, I want to just clarify up something very important. When the Federal Reserve does end QT, I'm still seeing big influencers say this, and it's really dumb. It's really dumb. They say that, oh, just because the Federal Reserve ends QT doesn't mean we get QE. I just want to ask you this. This is QT, quantitative tightening, when the Federal Reserve takes all the money out of the economy. And this is exactly 2nd of September 2019. That's when ETH bottomed against Bitcoin. I just want to ask you guys, for the next 4 months, what the heck happened? What do you call that? When all that money is coming back into the economy, what do you call that? Tell me. What do you call that? Like, seriously, what is that called? Well, the misconception is that end of QT does not equal start of QE. That's idiotic. That's dumb. So many big influencers are saying this, and it's so fucking dumb. Now, see this? That is QE. Except they don't call it QE, they don't name it QE, because official QE started here, where the line, right, this was March, around here, March 2020, when COVID hit, and when boom, QE went in like this. That's called official QE. This is called stealth QE, right? When the Federal Reserve doesn't admit they have something called QE, but they give it a funny name. They call it basically organic increases to the balance sheet, right? That's what they call it. But it's actually QE. I explained in my last couple of videos, they use stuff like the BTFP program, which is designed to save all the banks. So now let's have a look at where Bitcoin is. Bitcoin is basically, where are we? Okay. Bitcoin is basically having a bounce. Look at this. Also doing well here. Now, okay. Bitcoin. My target for Bitcoin was like 73K. So far, we haven't hit that yet. And right now, Bitcoin's on a bounce because, especially, one, because it got the end of QT or slowing of QT news from the Federal Reserve. And two, it also got the news that Trump is about to announce some sort of some sort of positive, news at the DAS Digital Assets conference session tomorrow, and so people are doing a buy on rumor, maybe sell on fact. The problem is this: when Trump announces something, I think he's gonna pretty much announce that they're gonna cancel all taxes on crypto for capital gains tax. If you buy an American crypto such as XRP, such as Bitcoin, those sort of thing, I'm not sure. Like, I think as long as Bitcoin doesn't get over this 91.8, 92K area, we still have a chance to dip down and dump and hit the low 70s, my 73 target, 73 area, and then bounce up. Depends on what Trump announces. If it's something that's definitely not expected by the market, then this could, be the bottom, and we could get a rally. Although I still hold up out the possibility that we're going to get a dip to 73K. People are like, okay, oh, you're saying it could go up or down. Well, if you've been watching my videos, I've been saying that I'm not waiting for an exact 73K bottom. So I'm buying some around here anyway. If it goes to 73K, I'll add more. I'm not trying to hit an exact target and say, oh, look, this is an exact bottom or not. It doesn't have to be an exact bottom and doesn't have to be an exact call. Okay, to all the Aussies watching, Pablo uses the SwiftText exchange, and the link is in the description below. And thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys for the next episode.